So it goes on like this. So he says, I'm drunk with love. So how did we move from oneness to love? Because love is an emotional realization of oneness. How does it say, Ahavta l'recha kamocha, ani Hashem? What does it mean, Hashem? Just Ahavta l'recha kamocha. Most of the time, people only quote that and don't say ani Hashem. But ani Hashem is why you're able to love your neighbor as yourself. Why? What does ani Hashem do with loving my neighbor? Because ani Hashem means I am all there ever was, is, and ever will be. Yud Kei Vav Kei is the code word for Eino Nolado. Okay? And ani Hashem means I am all there ever was, is, and ever will be. There's only one ani. So your ani and my ani are rays of, colors in the spectrum of that one ani that we all share. So of course I can love my neighbor as myself. That's like saying to the color red in the spectrum, you should love orange. Me and orange could never get along. What's orange and I got to do with each other? Well, you're actually both manifestations of a unified force called white light, rooted in that and held by that, and you are actually not separate from each other at all, even though you're very, very different. And that's what we want to do. We want to encourage our Talmidim. It's pru or vu. Hashem says, I want pru or vu. I don't want just a lot. I want a lot of different people. I love the differences. It only enhances the truth of the power of this oneness and this love. Okay? So when we try to get people to think just like us and act just like us and dress just like us, we're actually undermining what we really, really want, is to be able to reveal a oneness that can include that can honor that can enhance that, can be revealed by that. And so suddenly he's talking about love. He says, I cannot but the ocean. I cannot but love everyone down to the last drop. Because we are one with him and one with each other through him. Hashem is the continuum where we find each other. Okay. Same thing. And how can I love Hashem? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll go out, have some coffee, see if we share things in common. How can you not love Hashem? Right? That's like my finger not loving my body. I mean, of course you love Hashem. The reason why you don't love Hashem is someone convinced you that he's someone somewhere over there that he wants you to be scared of, and all he wants you to do is obey him and praise him. And who convinced us of that? The snake. And that's the Navid Kasufa. I mean, that's the Zuma de Nafasha. That's the venom of the snake, that we are in this mindset that we're separate from Hashem, separate from each other, disconnected from Hashem, disconnected from each other. And we lose the world of love. And every time you do an error, you fall into what's called Alma de Peruda. You fall into the world of separation and fragmentation and disconnection. And it's painful. Why is it so painful? Because you're not disconnected. Karet is painful because you behaved in a way which has basically convinced you and testified that you were separate from Hashem, but in your essence you're not. So painful. Because in your essence you'll never be separate from Hashem. But in your behavior, in your mindset, in your beliefs, you've created the separation in your head. And so he says, whoa, you mean only in and through the ocean can we share one single greater self? There's only one self. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Anochi at Sinai, who did we meet? Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am all there ever was, is, and never will be. Which means there's only one I am. Elohecha, I am the soul of your souls. So there's a soul that gives rise to souls. And yet there's just this oneness. Okay? So he says, you mean only in and through the ocean can we share one single greatest self? He says exactly, that's the miracle and the joy of true love. And that's why I put the pasuk up front at the beginning. Anochi esmach b'Hashem. What do you mean, Anochi esmach b'Hashem? When I find myself in Hashem, I'm happy. That is b'Hashem. I'm in Hashem. And I find Hashem in me, but I really find Elohim in me, to be more correct. He's the Baruch of Kula. Yes. Ruven.
Yes.
Yeah.
The paradigm concept, that suggests that when we're confronted, exposed, understand the yichud, that we then lose ourselves. That's what's suggested by
what?
The fact that we couldn't cope with that in our independent existence. Well, my assumption is that that experience identified that we're unable to sustain our
why Hashem, what you mean at Sinai? Yeah, that's right. What happened is our bodies our souls left our bodies because our body perception of separation was no longer, viable or operative. But Hashem didn't want that yet. Because there's a reason we're in this body. Hashem right now wants you to work on your individuation. Okay? But keep careful that it doesn't over-evolve to separation. So that when the Gilu Yichud happens, you won't lose yourself. That's one of the reasons why, the soul comes into this world and half of it falls into a male body, half of it falls into a female body, and then maybe 25 years you don't meet each other, maybe 30 years you don't meet each other. Well, why? Why couldn't we just stay together? Well, because you weren't really in the highest form of oneness that includes distinction and otherness. Okay? So you have all this time where you even think, I don't even need another side. There is no other side. And then you finally meet that one and you say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We're so different, yet we're so one. How's that possible? And there's a tremendous amount of joy in all of that, because that is a moment of Hashem. It's a little glimpse of Hashem in your life, that love. Okay? So
why does the Rambam describe the relationship you could get with Hashem as kafid dash yodiyeh, according to the extent you get to know, which means he says through learning Torah, etc. How does that work with just the awareness of a part of this oneness that I'm experiencing that?
Well, but there's so much more to his oneness. There's his wisdom, there's his beauty, there's his compassion, there's his truth. We want to know the divine midos. We want to know Hashem, because all that is going to permeate us and envelop us and fill us. So we want to know Hashem. Right? We can't just talk about the Echad. We have to talk about what's in the Echad. The very faces of the Echad. Hashem is love, Hashem is peace, Hashem is truth, Hashem is justice. Again, he's more than all of that. Okay? Let's just finish this. You can ask some more questions. So he says like this, Gil, you're blowing me out of the water. I love you. Hugs and kisses Gil. Quick, let's go find bubbles. They start speeding ahead. This reminds me of that song, Love is in the Air. What's air? That's the point. That's like saying, what's God? It's like drop saying, what's water? Hey, do you believe in water? We are water. There's just water. Right? Okay, so let's ask some more questions on this, and then I want to look through some sources.
I've asked this before. When it says love everyone down to the last drop, is it ever come a point where a drop becomes bad?
Yes, that's true, but we should love the soul and not their behavior. Right? You should love everybody. Right? Now, sometimes you have to hate the Russian because you can protect yourself, protect other people. But in the ultimate scheme of things, we're hoping that everyone's going to do tshuva, and the truth of Ein Od Milvado will be revealed everywhere through everybody.
So we're holding on to that hope.
In the meantime, you hate their behavior, but you pray that their true neshama comes shining through. Yes.
In terms of the connection between souls together, all being one, essentially, like having that vision at the end of all the drops of water getting together. We also, though, do have a distinction of what souls we're closer to, like the spouse.
Yes,
right? So, spouse is one. I know it sounds crazy, but like one. Yeah, oner than the other drops.
Yes, because think of it as a puzzle. There's the pieces of puzzle that are right around you. That's your family. Then there's distant relatives, and there's a remote. But I have a shear that will show you how this works. But yeah, we'll talk about it. So let's look at the sources over here. Cook explains over here. Some of the implications of this idea of echad and how it should impact us. It goes like this: Tamid mizgarotov apretit. A person has to release themselves, liberate themselves from the frame of their pratiyut. That this is all that I think about is me. Okay. He just thinks about himself. It's all about me. And I always say that if it's all about me, that's a secret to misery. Okay? If it's about you, then it's a secret to utopia. Okay? And so he says, this brings you down to such smallness that all can think about is your little self. You cause yourself tremendous amount of physical and spiritual pain. Why physical and spiritual pain? Because it's not true. You're not separate. You're not an island. You're not disconnected. So we're not against pratiyut as a part of the club. But when all you think about is pratiyut, that's the problem. A person should think about, what can I do for klal? The klaluta klal. I call the klaluta olam, l'adam, the klalut Yisrael, the kol ha'yom, mizeh, tisovev, tibases, so gam pratiyut shelo b'tzura re'uya. When you give yourself to klal, to the nation, to the world, to the planet, then you don't lose yourself. You actually find yourself in terms of who you are. This is who you are, and this is how you uniquely contribute to this greater klal. So your pratiyut becomes founded on and anchored in the klal. The klal doesn't rob you of klaliyut. It gives you a new kind of klaliyut. I heard a beautiful story about I heard this from Rabbi Fireman, a nice mashal. He got this, basically this chayal, and comes back to the barracks, he got new boots. So his friend says, where do you get the new boots? He said, I just went to the supplies that I said I want new boots. He said, well, I want new boots. I should not have new boots. So he goes there and he says, I would like new boots. He says, sorry. So you don't have any more boots? No, I do. Well, you don't have my size? I actually do. He said, well, why are you not going to give me new boots? My friend was just here. He got new boots. He said, no. When your friend came, it was very different than you. You came in and says, I need new boots. Your friend came in and said, Klal Yisrael needs me to have new boots. Yes, I need new boots, but it's in the interest of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is the very ground that I stand on. The very reason that I have a pratiyut. Yes, these are boots that are going to go on my feet. So I think this is a very important point, that we give ourselves over to the klal, but we don't lose ourselves in the klal. We actually find ourselves in the klal. So the more you are klal-minded, the happier you will be. And the more you'll be enlightened with the presence of Hashem. Because the full name of Hashem is on a full olam. You know, when you save a person, you save a world. But you are a world part of the greater self, the greater whole, the greater oneness. When you give yourself over to klal, you don't lose yourself. You actually find yourself in that position of giving yourself to klal. You are more important. You're more significant. Okay? So we are not going to be in a me state of mind. It's all about me. It's about klal. And one would think, I'm going to lose myself if I give myself to the klal. You're going to find yourself. You're going to be a unique vehicle. Okay? So it goes like this. He says, V'leit shchinta shari be'atar chasir. The shchina doesn't rest on something that is lacking. The cave in the be'atar chasir, and if he doesn't rest on a place that's deficient, how is the Shekhinah going to rest on somebody that's nothing? Nobody. That's like my finger saying, you know what, I'm tired of David, and I'm going to find my life. Right? That's ridiculous. That's like a tuba player that's not be part of a symphony. It's cramping my style. You know? I don't want to be a solo. So he goes out and tries to be the most famous solo tuba player. I don't think there's too many solo tuba. You're a tuba player because you're part of an orchestra. You don't lose yourself as a tuba player. You know? And actually what happens is people experience the whole symphony playing through my violin. But from the violin's point of view. But I'm serving the symphony. And when I serve the symphony, the whole symphony becomes manifest through my prat, and your prat, and your prat, and your prat. My friend used to be a conductor. He said, we were so tight. He said, if I would just think I want to roar from the trombone section, I would roar at that very second. But what happened is we became so psychically one, you know, and yet nobody thought, well, I'm a trombone, so, you know, we're now all trombones. And everybody has to sit in their section. Nobody sits in this, but we're one. We shouldn't, why are we there's sections, there's time that you play, there's time that you don't play. That's what makes us so phenomenally glorious in our music. That we're so different, but we're one. And the whole symphony comes through the violin, and the whole symphony comes through the trombone, the whole symphony comes through the percussion.
What's interesting about that is it seems like the beauty comes from the risk. The more pieces of music, the more instruments you introduce, the greater the capacity for risk. When disharmony doesn't occur, instead harmony occurs, so then beauty emerges from that. My question is, what would you say to the pianist? Because you don't get a lot of solo tuba players. You do get a lot of solo pianists. It does seem like certain solos can strike out on their own more.
Yeah, but they have to be part of music. They have to be part of a world of music. But when they're just about me, it's all about me. When I was a kid, a teenager, our definition of an egotistical rock star was he wrote the music, he played every instrument, he actually engineered all the recording studio, he designed the cover, just me. It's all me. Rav Kook says that Hashem gave us all different talents to force us to work together. Not lose. You have a talent, I have a talent, it's different, that's why we can help each other. But the differences are not getting in our way. Right? And what's happening is people in a world that is competing when we want to go to a world that's completing. Your difference doesn't compete with my difference. It completes my difference. And that's how we become one. And so the Shekhinah is not going to rest when you become nothing and when you are involved in your ego. Rav Kook says that someone who has gaiva is ugly. Gaiva is ugly because you know what makes something ugly? Something that sticks out. It's ugly, but we're in a world that people want to stick out. They don't realize that's what makes you ugly. You don't want to stick out. You want to blend in. You don't want to lose yourself. But you want to feel part of something greater than yourself. But it's all about me. I want to stick out and let everybody look at me. And that's actually very, very ugly. So, number 3, התפייה הזאת להיות תמיד נתון ביסוד הכללי הוא יסוד נשמות הצדיקים. That's what tzaddikim are. They're about the cloud. It's all about the cloud. I just want to serve the cloud, but in the unique way that I serve the cloud. I'm not going to lose myself in the cloud. I'm going to find myself in the cloud. So he says, "Umit'alchim lifnei Elohim, umit'angim al Hashem." You see what they have? These are people that have Elohim and Hashem. They walk before Elohim. They're very aware of Elohim, who created multiplicity and diversity and distinction and colorfulness and allowed for the emergence of that spectrum of colors. And yet, they're Angim al Hashem, and yet they rejoice in the presence of El Bavado. Right? There's a story that tells the Rebbe when the inauguration of the center was there. And the Belzer Rebbe quoted in Midrash that you should follow a Rebbe who was like one of the Malachei Sharet, who was one of the angels of Hashem. The angel of Hashem, who's going to be an angel of Hashem? Why not a tzaddik, a chassid, but an angel of Hashem? He said, what is an angel of Hashem? Each angel has its own unique mission and is very committed to its mission, and it honors the mission of all the other angels and knows that together we serve one God. Right? So he said, that's who your Rebbe. Your Rebbe shouldn't disqualify other Rebbes. He's very committed, he's very passionate, he's very articulate in his derech. And he doesn't nullify other drachim and says there are no other drachim but this one. So and they need to know what they want. They're going to experience bakol in the all, mikol of the all, kol, just the all. It says that Avraham Avinu was blessed with bakol, and Yitzchak was blessed with mikol, and Yaakov was blessed with kol. He said to Esav, I have kol. So what's the difference, bakol, mikol, kol, kain? What is the bakol? I'm in the all. Mikol, I'm of the all. Kol, there's just the all. Okay? And they all come together. How can I be in the all, of the all, and yes, it's just the all? And again, it brings this interesting shiluv of this pratiyut. I'm in the all, and I'm not only in the all, I'm of the all, I'm made of the all. And yet there's really just ain't no bavado, there's nothing but the all.
That's Shem of that and
Yes. Yud Kei Vav Kei is Ein Od Levado, and Elohim is saying, yeah, but you're not him, and I'm not him, and I'm not you, and you're not me, and all these details, and there's just so much details. You know, you go into a zoo, and they tell you that this bug, this beetle, there's 3,000 different kinds of this beetle in the world. It's like, like, who even needs them in the first place? But Hashem is just enjoying the color and the spectrum and the individuality. We're in a world, Chulam B'Chamasita, it's a world that has got such richness in its particularities, and yet embraced by and filled with this echa. Okay? What time did we start? 45? So we got another couple of minutes. Okay, yes.
Is it
I'm sorry, remember your name, Shimon?
Avichai.
Avichai, yeah.
Is it possible? My best friend's called Shimon.
I knew that.
And they're one.
Yeah, clearly. You don't look like him. I'm just joking. Like, you don't want to look like
Very
him.
good looking. I'll take it.
Yeah, you know, the Zohar says if you find somebody that's your clone, you will hate their guts. It doesn't say the guts, word guts, but you hate them. Because you can't stand someone, you know, someone comes to you, oh, Joe, my name's Dave. I can't believe you look like Joe. I look like Joe. You just said that just like Joe. That drives you crazy because we have a divine mandate to be ourselves in a way that we are part of a greater whole. But to be yourself. That's called be beautiful.
Tell me I look like small village.
I can't believe it.
I sound like.
You have a question?
Yeah. So I think I've got a statement that when he says here, "Mitangim with Hashem," it sounds like he's quoting a bit and the man said Hashem. And I know that Rav Kook has a piece of the Akdamah Misad Hashem also, which I think follows the summits before this one. It says when you read the Akdamah Misad Hashem, your chush musari or something feels slida from the egoismus. That because the Akdamah Misad Hashem just talks all about it's very prati. So he there explains that the Taneg Hashem is al-Davar Chi Klali Sheyesh. So is this why he's using this?
Very could be. Good shot, I think so. In the meantime, what we want is Yud Kei Vav Kei Elohim, whereby there's Ein Levado, and yet Elohim tells me Hashem created the world. I'm not you, you're not me. He created a world with tremendous amount of color and distinction and diversity and plurality, and yet they're all going to be. You know, I once heard a pshat that the reason why the Achim hated Yosef is they were afraid that he was going to, in some way, dilute their differences. Now, here's this guy with this rainbow coat, right? And he thinks, oh, we should all just come together and lose, and each one had their own color. And they were afraid that he's going to somehow undermine the culture of the Jewish people that honors machloket, honors this multiplicity and this plurality, honors this diversity. Okay, everyone's going to be bowing down to me. Everyone's going to give themselves over to me. And that's part of why they hated him. They didn't realize that he was the sphere of Yisod. And the sphere of Yisod is taking all those colors and bringing them together without in any way losing their color, just losing their separation. So let's do a little bit more. We got 5 more minutes. So this piece over here, number 2. The more you advance spiritually, you feel a tremendous amount of value to the Rabim. He starts to feel that the tzibur lives inside him. Okay? He doesn't lose himself in the tzibur. He doesn't think the tzibur is him. Just like I mentioned that each one of those guys in the symphony feels the whole symphony is playing through their violin without thinking that they are the violin. It's all about, he feels in himself. That was Moshe Rabbeinu. He was an Ish Klal. Right? He was an Ish Klal. He felt, Klal Yisrael lived through him without him thinking I'm Klal Yisrael. Okay, let's quickly do this next one. Great souls cannot stand being separate from the Klal. All I want is for Klal Yisrael. I want to work for Klal Yisrael. I want to do for Klal V'chayhu mipratim ein cheker. Mipratishim, v'pratim chatrutim. Ein הכלל מותר כי אם לפי מילואי שלמותם של אישב הפרטיים ושל קיבוציו הקטנים הגדולים המשלימים. What is the crown of the klal? It's the respect for and the encouragement of the pratim. That's what makes the klal so amazing, that there's so much pratim going on here. And yet we still are a klal. Dat Hashem bi'ava rabah hi mivheket be'ora muflat et avat olam. If you love Hashem, then that will enhance your love for the world. Avat olamim, your love for many worlds. Kol yitzarim, all. You're going to love all these different creatures. V'kol chukah chayim avayat shalem. You're going to love how different they are, their unique paths, their unique characteristics. You're going to love that. Love for all existence fills the heart of the good ones. They want osher for everyone. They want light and joy for everyone. And I remember I was in a particular yeshiva that was slightly, let's call it, messianic. And they really talked about how they're going to bring Mashiach. They're going to bring Mashiach. And I went to the Rosh Yeshiva and I said, you know, I'm uncomfortable with this narrative here that we're going to bring the Mashiach. First of all, who cares who brings the Mashiach as long as the Mashiach comes, right? And who knows? I remember. I think I heard this from Rabbi Kahana, not Meir Kahana, but his brother Rav Nachman Kahana. He says, I think there's a shoemaker in Tel Aviv that's going to bring Mashiach. Like we think we know who's going to bring Mashiach. Anyways, so I was speaking to this Rosh Yeshiva and said this narrative of we're bringing Mashiach. I think it's, first of all, I think it's problematic, but I also think who cares who brings Mashiach? As long as Mashiach comes, we're all in this together. The Rosh Yeshiva said to me, "You're right, but we're going to bring Mashiach." I'm saying, you know. So why is this? Why is it got to be me? Why can't it be us, including me, including you, and we all respect our differences and love the fact that we complement each other? Yes.
Shouldn't I believe that I'm responsible to bring Mashiach?
It wasn't about responsible. It wasn't about responsible. There was a certain element. I don't believe it's from the Rosh Yeshiva, but there's some Bachurim that there was a gavtanut. There was a certain we're bringing Mashiach. We know how to bring Mashiach. We're bringing Mashiach. It turns into something that undermines Klal Yisrael. That one faction is going to bring Mashiach, and we have the whole truth. I remember meeting Rav Refson on a train to a conference that we were both going to in Kiru. I knew of who he was, but I never really met him. And here we're literally right next to each other, across from each other. I sat down to him, we started talking about outreach. And Rabbi Rosen said, you know, everybody thinks they have the one secret formula to bring all of Klal Yisrael back. He says, listen, and he started the Vei Yerushalayim. He said, I can tell you right now, there are so many different ways to bring people back. Some people come back because they like the children. Some people came back from Bretzlev and Chabad, and some people came back from Risk of Mora. He says, there's not one formula, right? There's many formulas that work for many different people. So when a person thinks, I have the formula, I have a formula. I want the formula. You know, some people need this derech and that derech. You know, from Israelite, people went in so many different directions. Some became Haredi, some became Yeshiva, some became, you know, modern Orthodox. So you know, a spectrum. And I would always invite different people from all the different schools to present Yiddishkeit. Because I don't have a monopoly on Yiddishkeit. There's many faces to Torah, right? But we should just respect each other, realize not only respect each other, but realize we need each other. Because your color is what is enhancing my color, my enhancing is color, your color. And Hillel is going to quote Shammai because I don't have a day out without you. So I'm happy there's a left to the right, because without a left there's no right, and without a right there's no left. But we're not the same, but we are one. So a little bit more. They draw their love for all of existence that is colorful, mikuvenet, the ribuy yitzrei, by the extent of the multiplicity of the creatures. Me'avat Hashem a higher love of Hashem, me'avat hashleimut ha'muchlatet, ve'agmura shel sipat hakol, mecholel kol, v'chet hakol. The one that's the bakol, that we should be blessed with bakol, mikol, kol. In the all, of the all, just the all. Thank you very much.
Means you have a certain affinity to Christians, and the more you're seeing in the truth of you and your, again, not to separate the fact that they're different, but in terms of the love, I have feelings of love towards everyone equally because we all really stem from the same.
No, you're not going to have equal love for everyone. That's, I don't know how realistic that is. Not right now. But you still love. You still love. But the difference is, there's a love of your wife, there's a love of your brother, there's a love of your children. There's different kinds of love, but they all feature this understanding that there's a oneness that supports and respects others. And our differences don't interfere with our oneness. It actually enhances the power of this oneness. Well, also, Rav Kook actually, he actually brought this up that people threw tomatoes at him. He said, I love them. He said, if I could, I would kiss. If I could, I would kiss each and every one of them.
So we're very privileged to have with us Rabbi David Aaron, background from Minnesota opportunity and ask personal questions to Rabbi Aaron or to Rabbi Benson while we set up for the bringing. But anything for the shir. Setting up. So
just on the ground. The rubber band is in the ground.
Very to be here. Also for the session of the fifth of fellowship for the semester. The Chaver that's here just say that the word mashpia many different meanings, but part of it, which is angle. And through this group of 22 individuals, there are so many people that are being for the world. There's people here that are involved areas. So, and it's very for us specifically and our visiting the find out what to speak Vincent was so much also about the three of the studios going through so it's really incredible. For the friends that are here, we can't, like, there's no way to explain. We know how hard it is to take to be here for three every single week. Also, is rating with the set. We send out a site to try and find exactly what you think and what we should do, if we should continue this or not. Pressure goes on hands. But I also wanted to take a opportunity to thank the team that makes this happen, which is really with y'all behind me here. 8 times for intelligence and putting this together. I also wanted the opportunity, Shmuel, who's our CFO. I want to thank the head of our studio that puts content together. And a very big thank you to someone like us next on to but he's been really instrumental and really clear on when it comes to the studio, and that is Joe. Great. Walking through this experience, we've had more of a week, and everyone has been really incredible. But this has been real skills that everyone has here to be running the tech is bringing in different places. And now you can have when you see right on the keyboard, on the saxophone, they're phenomenal musicians. We made sure to have Mashka and Vasa around, so we need to make sure it's you take this left, this is where it was meant to be. That this final session of the trimester would be the Sunnah College part of the rest of it. So we're going to ask Rav Dovet Vincent thoughts, ideas, and welcome to this room. I'll do whatever sits. We'll sing in between. We're going to ask also Jeremy to share an idea after. And then you're such an take his for we're taking our class for ourselves as this fellowship will enjoy the march. Just in case anyone is not from Chabad, every time.
I wasn't sure exactly how this was supposed to happen. It's not like it's not so relevant because it's like when you share you know how to prepare it. So that prepare and it doesn't have to be stronger. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. So it depends on how you. Sometimes you just have to sit in silence. And the Baruch Rabbi used to have Shabbos. And it's completely quiet the entire time, complete silence. Hours on end. No one said a word.
at the end, he usually said these words, ain't never about it. Nothing else to say. Sometimes his words. If I'm bringing a shit, I'm not sure. It was, must be a process. A few nights ago, that's all. So ask me a question. So it was about size. Question. And they sign connect show me connect with us. So they said the best way to do this is not say read. Start reading what science working. Sunday was all about hours. And he's reading about science year and year and year. I don't know what to do. On one hand, he feels very shocked about science. He feels very connected. On the other hand, when he opens up the Sefer doesn't talk to him. This is the Shiloh. Why is it a Shiloh? Because sorry, okay, are written according to Shalom. The person is strange of Shalom is not Shalom. When they write a Sefer, it's according to their Chasam. And then there's persons that strange of Shalom is Gvor, and they write a Sefer, it's according to Gvor. Let's say you're strange of Shalom is Chasam. And you're reading a Sefer of Gvor. He knows what the problem is. I just need a solution. You open the Sefer, very connected with the Sefer, static. Now, the Sefer, you don't connect with the Sefer itself. It's not like that. I'm not sure connect with things up. And what do you do to connect with something else? So, I expect that it's written 5 years ago, in a certain package part of the Sefer. It was written in a certain time period. People thought a certain way, talk a certain way, and you think differently, you speak differently. When it comes to Nigla, so it doesn't matter. So you have to follow the same period. It's now. But the Rashba's understanding of the world, the way we understand what the Rashba's understanding of the world, for example, is different than the Maharal. The Maharal is very easy to understand. We're living in the 21st century. People have different things. What do you do to relate and do something and connect? This is the shot. Coming from the top down, down. The big fiducian first Chassidus is that this is really the main avoided one. Maybe draw down from above. Always like no, you're bringing down to this down. going up below, and below being below, because it becomes above. So that's the tenua of sorry is a shorter of because which you drawing low become low starts becoming the above. So to say it very is something about the humanity. You can learn big, you can come up with but there's something awesome, there's something missing in the humanity. A certain level has to do with certain people, but it has to also declare itself. So declaring is you draw down lawyers, and it's a whole emotion. There's no emotion with it. There's no emotion. I think that also in itself. Explain what the metaphor is. Learning to Sari is he's talking about goals. He's not talking about activity. It's not like the reason it wasn't just genius. That the Buddha method it seems that's because that's not what the result did. That is experience these things. But he didn't tell us how he experienced them. He didn't give us the this idea. No. Yeah. More. Okay. If you ever own the kids, there's a beginning of previous time. It started was a mile, and then there was a sense of contraction of this light, and then there was a small sliver of light that was entered. What does that mean? Where is that exactly? What's a cow? What does this mean? Now you can say philosophically I can understand it's Ein-Sof, infinite light, that's heavy, then retract. Because I mean, if it's infinite, then there's no before. Then how can you say it's infinite for why? If it's infinite, then there's no possibility of something happening in infinity. There's a lot of problems. You see, logically, there's a lot of problems because the riddle is not explaining a logical thing, it's explaining what happened. We didn't use an image, we didn't do what these things mean. What tradition is first of all the image. The image is life is everything about itself. Very high motivation. Actually talking and your own problem becoming yourself and your own strong way to this world. It's all talking about Krishna Teresa. Especially Well Shem never speaks about Atzilus, Bria, anything as an individual object. He always speaks about a something that exists, something you're experiencing. When he says Atzilus, he means clarity. Bria is a little less clarity. This means lack of clarity. Which means experience, you experience in the nefesh, in the heart. Because the wants to elevate the lower to the higher. And we, as we are in our full humanity of who we are, which means
human being, we have a certain way of being in this world, our emotions, our, everything, it's the human, the fullness of who we are, should be elevated into a deeper way. That biyah should be considered, but not only in ourselves, but in the entire world. So there should never be any type of dichotomy, any type of sense of transcendence in this world in a way that's it's not embodied. Because the whole tachlis is that you have to take the goof and then habis and all the things that it talks about what it means to be human, and that in itself you have to elevate the source. So this love, and that's the essence of this. Tachlis is not the mind, not the draw down life. But to bring that to elevate us
So we were saying we deal with Tachtonim. Is the deal with Tachtonim paradigm going more on the Milo Matzah or the Milo could be both? So there's a both in that paradigm.
Of course. Something's not saying that our reasons are not true.
Is that deal with Tachtonim we're making that Tachtonim are doing? Is that
No. We're transforming into something and releasing positive quality. You want to talk about the oh, that's all life.
Not shared.
Can I just mention? Remember saying that the Chassidus was shift in the mashal versus the nimshal and to the mala. There's other chayra Chassidus in terms of the fact that it was the Amoinam and it was so that's a
and it's for everybody. There's a shulchan practice. And then you should know all the things, everything that the person speaks about, all the big ideas, this
because we're
because it's all in the word, because we're it, which means talks like a as us. The talks of everything is you. You're the talks of real. So there's therefore everything's revealed in the talks. So therefore it's not practice. Because you're the talks of all the talks. Things the Rambam holds that there's only hashgacha. General problem. Wise person. So it's a sliding scale. The you are, the more you have a shock of God. Writes in the water. The Dachas of the Real was one wise person. And everything is going on in the world, billions of people don't know everything. It's not many. But where's that? What is real? So the person is just filling out of life. If you have to believe. So there, the finish of so the Rambam would agree with him if he accepted that premise. Accept the premise, and they would accept the premise that Shachar writes that simcha brings a person joy the more they recognize Shachar. The more Shachar, the more simcha your life is being dieted, being nurtured. So once he's then when you use if I say the Dachlis is self, almost like the so is there a Dachlis itself? No. I should learn. I can't let it
so if we know we know that. So achieve that. So therefore we
actually there, you don't see that. The fact that they give the Tachlis is a fact.
if you don't achieve it.
Yeah, because that's the dream. The dream was for the Tachlis. I don't live this, so then you're not going to see it. You see this life. Of Hashgacha practice, the more they actually see the life of Hashgacha.
Well, they're getting Hashgacha.
No, exactly. The more it's a revelation. In terms of Hashem, everything has Hashem. You're not going to see that Hashem. Where's the Hashem? Yeah, because you're not going to see that Hashem. You're not going to see that there's Hashem in your life. You get more and more Hashem. You get breathe.
But also,
And
just
the
the experience.
experience is tachlis, it can be better.
Is there any time that the revelation of Hashgacha is negative, or is all time if you
This is a very,
you,
it's a good shot, a good shot. So almost came with this before he came in for Shlomo. Before it was even the came to the rabbi, he said, I'm looking for Shlomo. He said, Hashgacha Pratis, I bet you're the Bacher. Maybe he's the right. Maybe that tachlis was you should. So sometimes people inside of us are thinking that they know that hashgacha, and it's also it could be something that they can. It's not. It's something that can mess you up.
So is it fair to say that one observes the shyness in the record, not just it? Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Oh, I'm saying also.
But if it ends up there here,
You know, it says.
then I would think that happens if I'm saying, okay, something's happened, and I think that I'm Hashem, so I'm describing the reason. But our experience does describe some kind of reason.
Most people in their life, life, and it sense retroactively. So the hardship, you don't know 2 days later, that's exactly what you're saying. Can't just leave. Shut that water now. Talk about the thing that I'm using right now. Maybe not. I don't need it.
He doesn't leave it until he sees
Yeah.
72% of American Jews marry non. Is that
First of all, you have to. Now I have to say, as a but you can ask the question. Over 7. reason why it happened because they go through this. Okay, things were good. They did call this up. So you, when we're experiencing a tragedy, we're not going to make sense. We need to shock. And since we're part of this, we have to do something about it. That means happen. So what? That's not Ask your child if you clear and Ashkaka. That's your child. There's a lot of things that we let's go through them quickly. We said before that in the and then when it comes further, sharing the gospel, it's about more the Gilach practice, the involvement of the closer mark to Gilach Mashiach is a higher revelation of Mashiach. It's one truth. Another truth is that the Gilach Chira is the same thing. Let's say, look at the Tanakh. The stories of the Tanakh. I'm talking about the whole story of the Tanakh. It's part of the Surah. It's part of Kisei HaKadosh. So, say, come on, look at me. Because the dirty generations who have been to Tanakh Torah stronger the sound of Kol V'Kol, the sound of Tanakh Torah was present. So the less my child, you take 5 years old, under their parents, they have less period than a 50-year-old or 25-year-old. Because the closer we are to the shayrish of connecting to something previous, the less period they have. And this is also true with all Jewish history. The earlier you become and less period, it's more cosmically done. Is this and much as that. Everyone is another idea. They were physical people. What they represent. These ideas have become less clear than they have. The further you are from Mount the deeper level clear. There are two simultaneously opposite things that are happening. Again, and more. Just a new Kiddush. So we understood what we were deeply to reveal indeed the new reality. In other words, up until the revealing, the route there is who's right. The route is right. This is of Hashem. Hashem spoke about this, is the revelation from Austin, which is the healing of Mashiach. So because of the revealing of Austin, Hashem brought to this world, he opened the opening, and now your father, it's not another was right. And then there he was right. And then Moshe was right. Because it becomes a new, if you say there's a new deal of Hashgacha, and there's a new deal of Chir, bigger revelation, it's mamash a steer b'nei Eved. It's a contradiction. Double contradiction. The reason why this is contradictory in these generations time both there's a new deal, and that's simultaneously in science. That because the scientific modern man that would be a lot of way more hard. Because of modern paradigms, that's why this is really this and only you know, it says that the law you can say that there is a understand, you measure the sun, you still get a fire. Writes, it's poetry. Doesn't mean anything. So why speaking? How could you hit a paragraph? Either has to be, or it doesn't mean, okay, it's not like that, right? Or it hasn't been written before, or believable. It's a poetic way of writing. Now we say, no, we understand this. We know as a paragraph, but we know the modern man is more paragraph. Ask, how does it work? They work. Absolutely clear and absolutely touch. This totally this, yes, absolutely touch. In your own person, just add one of our own person we hope to in the present moment believing here and the moment the choices that we created already, we have to believe in that shkach. We have to balance this. If you're presented with a situation right now, you have to say, I don't understand shkach about this, I understand it's my choice, right? The moment I take this choice, it's already David choice. So the highest level of tshuva, complicated statement, but all the highest level of tshuva is not to do tshuva. Because if you do tshuva, say something wrong, there's no shkach about this. So what you have to do is, you have to do tshuva. You have to own your mistake. You own your mistake in such a way that you can own it, and then what you say, and own it. Half of the tshuva is the place that you're on tshuva. Single mistake that you see in your life, and then they go, the person next to something, they go around beating themselves up. Because they're chaser, they don't believe in about this. We don't talk about this, you messed up. And you messed up, you did sure. You did it. So now you say, they should do this challenge. I did it clear, and I know what I did, and I did because of my own choice. Ultimately, it's a shock. Yeah.
As we move from this, said that we're getting more into the Bechira than a shkach. Just to take the example before, the Nazis mashma. So Paro had Bechira, but it was a different level of Bechira.
I had fear of the level of all that happens with Tanakh is a different level. Because Paro is not just we should read also in Tanakh, we should have the story of the Nazis also. What did Tanakh had? So why was it what was the thing that ended it? There's a word for the Chita rights. You know that it's not true. The seventh, right? It's separate text. Such a big term. This was this is the third is concealed. Probably this third is as the Jewish history. Which part of Jewish? So if you think about this idea of a job, what's the most informative years of your life? What's the most informative years of a person's life? makes a major imprint in their life, right? So we look at from now to the end of the time. It's one group. What is the most informative year? What is the most impressionable year? Active things. And our it's possible that a group comes along and says, even though my former years went away, that's what I was going to be, after Shakira, I chose something in later life that's going to change the trajectory from next time. Beings call it so electric, the age of soul is which is the story of soul, not all history. What lived in our history. That there's a rock of my soul, and then there's and then there's the anyone around this room, and the children around this room. That was so impactful, and not only impactful in your life, it was so impactful, and it changed the course of the way things were. And if I story is sort of about stories. Because it became not just
Answer why Tanakh ended.
because infancy, myself,
We've lost the voice.
yeah, that's the outcome of that. You know, that's just like you use. Why do you use that? Because you're set up. You know, the traits are in all of us. Was your right. It becomes who we are. You know, we should do that.
According to what we were discussing earlier about how truthers can be a whole not the truth.
Do true, but that's
Even my mistakes were right. Why is it as a subset of sins for which one
how it is what you did. To tell you to do something. There's more of the Acher. You know Acher, right? So I didn't even believe as a student. And the Lord says that the mayor once came to Acher, you should do tshuva. And he says, Shabbat, I heard from the other, Hashem Chutzpah, says that we could return back to Chutzpah. Right? Don't believe all of that is wrong. It's a box of Dushman has you went that seamless. That is the time it says it's not possible. It's a box. You can get a box of water. Let's try to do it. Not the point is that let's talk about the Torah. That is the most of the Torah is called the artist destroyed because Shalom didn't make a bracha on the arms. Make a bracha. explains this idea that they didn't understand, they didn't listen up to that. You go there, you do your tremendous law, you do whatever you're about. But you're not connected to the noise stuff, to the giver of the Torah. Because the Torah, is and sometimes we get caught in connection to the noise stuff. Which means that Abraham gave his nefesh in the Torah. Which means is that it's one whole Torah is made. When I was it doesn't feel like I'm learning. I don't know what this studio side of me. Yeah, is a word over here and everything. They was just like this thing. So you look as a cheshbon, and you know, it's true. Everything you learn is. So when the person in a state of this connecting section, let's say for example, we have a very deep, and this is a friend or spouse loves you and cares, wants to do your best, and it gives you like some of your best possible friendship you have in this world. One day you get a letter from this person, and you read it, it's like, wow, these guys rebuking you, telling you these terrible things. So what would you do? What would you do? Now most people have a low self-esteem. They'll say, I probably did something wrong, I messed up the friendship, right? That's probably self-esteem. The other level that really trust this friendship is probably not reading your friendship. Something is wrong with me reading because I know this person and cares for me. I wants my best. It must mean it's coming from that place. When you learn, let's go back because that's the easiest thing. You learn Tanakh, you learn Torah, and you read in the Torah, Kel becomes Hashem. Hashem is the God of vengeance. Kel becomes. Eibishter, my relationship to Hashem. Doesn't make any sense. It's like you get this letter from someone you love, and the letter says, "Kel Gamos Hashem." You don't understand. Low self-esteem, spiritual low self-esteem. You say the friendships are Hashem stop loving, and there's a part of God really angry, and it's not much. But now I did long and therefore deserve this. But then there's a person that really, really loves Ma'avat Tishkei Talmud. They really love the Eivishter. And they know that the Eivishter is a Chassid and a Rachman. And you know and you feel it, you experience it, and you see the Hashgacha of this. And that's your truth. Read Hashem. So you the Baal Shem Tov. It's not that the Baal Shem Tov tries, because he had a certain because he tried to save the psukim. You know, some shot. I'm sure you're familiar with this. Come on, really, that's nothing to do with that. That's just the shot. Yeah. What was that? But think about it if you got a letter from a you love. That's a cryptic letter. It is. Your first instinct for a healthy person in a healthy relationship is not going to be, I did something wrong, and something went wrong. You can say, this is a mystery here. Let me try to decode this mystery. Sometimes it's going to sound like great. Definitely the person's going to be, it's not relevant. It didn't mean what you're thinking, what the words on a page seem to be saying. So it's not a rereading of text. It's not trying to change what it's saying. It's because you're living with an understanding of the Torah Lishma. Because you're living with the sense of Vekas HaKadosh. Then when you see these psukim, automatically you're not going to see nekamas. And if you do see nekamas, and if you do see harsh or rebuke, and if you do see these things, it's a simon that your relationship to Hashem is not in the correct way. The Alter Rebbe used to read the Torah Chavir.
Like you said about Hashgacha Pratis.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. The more
dark. Alter Rebbe used to read the Torah Chavir. And his son, the Vittel Rebbe, one of the Alter Rebbe was not in town. And all kinds of read the Torah Chavir. I read the Torah Chavir, the Vittel Rebbe faith. They revived it, and I continued, kept on faithing. They took him up. They don't have to know. They don't know what happened. That's what's going on. He says he never saw, he never heard the Torah like this. It's like rebuke and things. So maybe you hear this up here. And my father believes it. If you're living that way, that doesn't come on. I'm sorry, this person you were trying to ask about. Sure.
Yeah, just going back to the true question. It's really, would it also be true that the only tshuva that one really needed one needed never tshuva if they had wronged somebody else, they had led somebody astray, commit sins of their own, and why extend to those cases? Why should
That's your fear to
know
know.
that mistake was also brought to Hashem?
That's true, but it affected somebody else. It affected someone else, and that person, the person changed. It's not a thing. Talk about truth for a person that's not, you know, the fact that, you know, nicer, Chaim Soloveitchik, Chaim, one son, Chaim been dressed with rabbinic garments. Been dressed like a rabbi. Very simple. So he was on the train, and he was a little disheveled. He was like a small person. He was sitting on the train, reading a sefer, and this very wealthy Jew showed up and saw this Chaim and said, you filthy Jew. And he started like cursing him and saying, what? Dress like a man, put on a nice fedora. Like, what do you look like a shmata? Like, we're screaming at him. Chaim was quiet. when they rolled, the train rolled into Brisk, the whole town came to greet the Rav. So the whole city is coming out. The rich person comes out and says, what's going on? I said, the Rav's on the train. And then the Chaim walks out, and they dance, and they sing, and they realize that he just embarrassed Chaim Brisk. So he goes into the Chaim, and he's going to kill him. He's like, I'm sorry. He says, I can't be lucky. You embarrassed a poor person, not a Chaim Brisk. You embarrassed someone that you thought was a poor person. You have to go to every single poor Jew in the world and ask him to kill him. Because that's who you embarrassed them. That's who you embarrassed them.
You got caught.
Yeah, you got caught. But he wanted to show you can't do the Chaim. If you know the Chaim, that's very poor person. Okay, I'm sending that.
Another paradox.
Bazayin, we need a bazayin.
We have to the Bible matter, which is there, which we're not going to talk about, is very. It's right, so that's what Arizal speaks a lot, Jarva Kodesh. In other places, when a person wants to understand, let's say, this Chaim Tal wants to understand how Rabbi or Rabbi you couldn't by the Kfor what's the intention, because what you want to do is you should want to connect yourself with the Shom and the Tzadik, not just the Shom and the Seichel of the Tzadik, but not the Ruach of the Tzadik. You'll understand the Torah correctly, because when we understand, when you're reading Torah pages, when you read something printed on a page, you're getting already the Rishim of the Rishim of the Rishim. Let's say that you really want to do why it's so important. When you learn from the Tzaddik, you should see them speaking. Your other Gemara says you have to see them. Because it's not just the words that they're saying, the way they do it. It's the spirit hovering upon them, what they're saying. That's the nefesh that's coming out. Here, hundreds of years later, you don't have it. So the way to, let's say, this person is having an issue with the Basaya, I would suggest you go to the King of the Basaya. This is Derech HaKabbalah. You go to the King of the Basaya, you do the Yichud L'Arit, and then once you catch yourself with the Tzaddik, nefesh of the Shama, then you'll see that the Torah is a completely different Torah. In other words, you're going to feel the real Ruach of the Torah. You follow? That's the one model. Exactly. And you would catch yourself with the Tzaddik, then you start seeing the Torah from the Tzaddik correct. That's the first Mahalach, which is Lumai Lumai, because you go from the Tzaddik as being the Tzaddik. Okay. Then there's the he writes that some people read the Tanya and it can be also scary. It's possible to talk about Ganem, talk about Kafir. You can read it screaming. So he says that Asher Hoyu Agimu Shachiblo Motzor that one is the words of Chib. It's the love, the love that I have with my Chassidim. I spoke to the Chassidim with tremendous amount of love, and this is the eitzes that came out of that love. So if you read the Tanya and you're not seeing love, then you don't understand the love. If you don't see the Chibla of the Alter Rebbe, in Tanya, you're not learning Tanya. That's the Amazon. Okay, that's not my blood. About my blood. This is a major Torah of the Baal Shem, and we'll just go very shortly. The Kitzur is, the short of it is like this, that when you see letters on a page, when you see letters on a page before you read them, so the letters are dead. They don't have chiyas, they don't have life. The shot is, the girl speaks that when you speak something, when someone speaking to somebody, the oasis of chayas immediately. You're speaking to someone, you're hearing the voices, hearing the letters, but you're also hearing the chayas, because that's communication, it's dialogue. You write something down, so it's a process, you take, you sort of receive. It's too smart. There's the way it exists within the mind of the person. Then they write onto a piece of page, on paper, then you're receiving the paper. When you're receiving the page, the chayas already is no longer there. Right? Who gives the chayas to who gives the chayas? The person that's reading it. So that's called a takasadim. What's a takasadim? Takasadim means somebody's constricted. And notice takasadim means somebody's constricted. Somebody's not revealing chayas. And you have chayas, and you're drawing chayas into this thing, so then you're mounting the din of that thing that's constricted. So you take Lysias, which is Malchus, and doesn't have an inherent meaning on its own, because once it's given over from the author, and it's already given over to the page, then it's no longer about the author. Okay, this is the Malach of the Makala. Once something is given over from someone that is part of the Messiah, obviously, has to be part of the Messiah, gives over a dover, and this thing becomes written down on a piece, on a page, on the Sefer. This thing becomes the nachla, not of, this becomes the inheritance not of Leviah, but this doesn't belong to him anymore. Who does it belong to? It belongs to the people that received it. You know, Marshall for this, but it works more nice. It's a Matzah, one second Maimer. So Matzah is not Rebbe's grandson, one second Maimer said this. And when he finished saying the Maimer, there was a machlokes between his son and Rahil Parcher of what the meaning of Rebbe's Maimer was, what they actually meant. So they came to one said the Rebbe meant this, and one said this. So it was between the Rebbe Marash, his son, and the Rahil Parcher. And they both have big Rabbah. They came into the Torah. They asked the Rebbe what said it. He said this is minor. Bill Varsh said, I think he meant this. Varsh said this. Who's right? So he said, I agree with my son. He's right. Not Bill Varsh. So Bill Varsh said, Michilas Koyter also, I disagree. Because once the Torah is already Nikla, it's not now you're too bad idea. They haven't brought down the Torah. The Torah is not revealed. Now it's part of the Messiah. Now two people can argue. What's the pshat? You get two people you can argue. So pshat is the mahalach is the recognition that when we learn something and we're learning something, we're actually giving chayas. It's not receiving chayas, but actually we are participating in the chayas. When you read a sefer, you put your nefesh into the sefer, into the Lysias, and you're machai the Lysias. And therefore, two people can read things differently. This is called, like I said, if you look at the Lysias of Hashem, it's page 22. Shemaiti, the Seder of the Hemit Even made in Pirish Shemil's Shap, as the Skasha Malchus, should dinner of Bina, Shumach, Kasha Din Malchus, and Hashem should Bina. This is a very simple language we say. Malchus is the oasis in itself. Don't have when the original person that gave over this Torah, it was transmitted into this oasis and it became Nachas. It's dinner. It's Bechinas Malchus. You use your bin, your seichel, and you reread this text in the way you understand, the way you're living right now in this present moment, the way you understand, hopefully you're part of this Messiah, then you're giving new chayas into this text. And your bin is Bechai the Malchus. So this is the Mahalach that is mamish the opposite of the first one. Now, of course, they can work connected. But the first one is Lomai Lulamata, which is Kash the Tzaddik, the Nefesh of the Tzaddik, who brought down these Lysias, and that's what you want to receive. But the higher Madrid, which is the way which we do anyways, which maybe we're not so aware of this, we do anyways, is to recognize if I don't understand something, try to understand it better. So I'm trying to say, I need to figure this out, what he said. I don't know what he said, I know what I said. Once this thing is already built into the Messiah, I need to come with myself, who I am right now, and say, how do I, sitting here, how do I read this text that means meaningful to me? Are you going to say that's not the original meaning of the text? Doesn't matter. Because that was did. And you're the one that's behind, you're the one that's doing the Hamtakas did, Shosha, actually elevating Malchus to the place to be there. That's where you're relying on. That's where the Messiah is continuing. Because every single moment, every single day, every single person is receiving Torah from you, is a nice Torah. Receiving Torah from you. And nothing should be stale, everything should be new. And therefore, every time we learn, we have to give ourselves over to the text, give ourselves over in a way that we can machaya this text. This is the highest level of the text. This is the way the lot of life. That's high. That's high. That's high. Exactly. You should never make the din speak. Correct. Make the din speak. That's the good in a nutshell. Klar? Atzilus? Atzilus?
writes, there's a vision of Cook in Kratzim Chaviel Chacho, because of that, I think. He writes, he discusses this. How can the Chacham write a Chidush in the Torah? He writes, he also speaks about it in the Mateinaya, the different view of Perush and Be'ur. So he says, so the question is if when the guy reading about Ayin and Tafshin Pei Vav has Binat the Malchut, the question is if it's emet.
This is, there's the word
Have I heard of him?
K'tzos, you know.
Yeah.
So the Nakdom and the K'tzos, I'm not just Siddish. Nakdom and K'tzos, he writes that there's emes, there's chesed. Right. That is the true Torah, and there's emes, and there's chesed. There's chesed on the shoulder. How do you know it's emes? So the truth is, how do we know if something is emes? How do you know if you're Matam or something, if it's emes or not?
Every emes Nikon. If the Ritva says,
Okay. How do you, well,
if I find Chiddush in the Sefer, it means it's emes.
okay, so that's very old. But I'm saying, why don't you have a Shalei the Moshe to Sinai? Or let's say better. You take someone printed the Sefer recently. How do you know? Maybe it's Torah's Mokshin. Like Torah. How do you know it's Torah's Chesed and Torah's Emes? How do you know? So there's two Nekudas. One is from Nachman. This is personal, which means I'm not avoiding it. Nachman says when the Torah comes in tears, you have tears, it's Emes. It comes through tears. You give through tears, and it comes to your nefesh. It's not a nice thing. Hey, I was a smart person, I made this up. But it's, again, it comes from your inside. Therefore, tears doesn't mean necessarily sadness. It means it's all made in blood. It's like a kibbutz. There's like this idea like, wow. I would say that part of that nekuda is when you feel like the you just chadash is not yours. The moment you own it, it's clear. If I say it's my Torah, so it's not. It's a lie. Pshat is, it came through me. So if you want the Torah to come through me, so if you say something and someone tells you, by the way, that sounds very interesting what you say, and you say, wow, that's smart. It's not that. If you ever give a cheer and people clap afterwards, you should get nauseous. Because it's not about you. So I said, by the way, you said something so brilliant. It doesn't do with me. If you take ownership and you think it's you, then it's a problem. Then it's not going to be Torah's. But if it comes through you, through you here, of course, you understand the work that you have, okay, of course, but the Torah finally comes through, it has to come. That's why you can't be conscious. You can't be aware of what you're saying. If you're aware of what you're saying, if you're self-aware of what you're saying, then you're not, then it's not us. You know, the Mesas we used to, they should be unprepared for regular this. Maybe legal, you have to prepare a little bit. Otherwise, sure, you want to give something mafiously, you can't prepare. Because I'm going to prepare now. Could you tell me how something about Purim? I don't know what I'm going to be Purim. I can tell you also, I'm not feeling Purim now. If you are, then we can talk about Purim. I have nothing to say about Purim. But so you have to talk to me now. The base also was very much not to prepare. So after we spoke, he used to ask first a little to come and chazal with the Torah. I want to hear what he said. That was what he said. He wanted to see what came down. So he once said a word like this. He said that if a person does a mitzvah to impress another person, you want to do something so the person should be impressed. He said, also love it, after 120, you're going to get a tally with schar or English. And then the schar, they're going to say, that mitzvah, oh, Hashem says that. I'm not going to give yourself that. Now you have to go to that guy. You did it for him. So go to him, he'll give you the schar. So they told us the Bnei Soskin. That's not good for it. This is, God is. This is like a story, a story, because he was not aware of. And they're saying that, so that's that. The other thing I was about teaching, I think, when you read someone's Torah, and you sense obviously so, it says the more obviously so you sense the Torah, that's the more obviously so. So your Torah is obviously so, it comes out of love. I'll show this piece is for shop.
Yeah.
This one piece for that and ends up with a fish. You know, you think this is fish. This isn't fish. Hashem keeps telling this to be fish every moment. Fish. Right? He holds up a cup to drink. It's a cup. Hashem says cup. He holds up his hands. You think there's a hand? No, Hashem keeps telling this over and over again. You think these are my words? Think I'm saying this? No. I open my mouth and Hashem puts the words in. So for a tzaddik who's there, it's his shulchan. That's good.
We're over. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting together like that.
No.
No. You have